Big thanks to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The SBDC is an incredible resource for small business owners, offering free one-on-one counseling, business plan support, market research, financial projections, and much more. Whether you're just starting out or looking to grow, they're here to help your business succeed. Reach out to us at bigsky.economicdevelopment.org.
Was able to just kind of put a lot of things that I love together. I cashed in an IRA and crossed my fingers, and things fell into place, and I had some amazingly supportive people in my life, and here we are now. We're small business owners.
The following is a Big Sky Economic Development production.
It's Mars B.
And Kavo.
And this is The Vault at 201 North Broadway.
A business podcast
where we bring you entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community leaders of Montana.
You don't want to miss this.
Learn how to better start, manage, and grow your business.
And your leadership style.
Tangible takeaways to save you time and improve whatever it is that you're working on.
You're listening to The Vault.
Today, joining us on The Vault is Jodi Mackay with Molly and Friends. We are so excited to talk to you about a really wonderful, great opportunity that you've brought to Laurel. And so thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We love to kick off our episodes by learning more about your upbringing, where you grew up, and really how that shaped you to be where you are today. So we'd love to just jump into that with you.
Sure. Well, I'm a Laurel kid. I grew up in Laurel and graduated from Laurel High School.
Laurel Locomotives.
That's right. I just about to say, it's the locomotives, right?
That's right. Yep. Then after I graduated, I did my first 2 years of school down in Powell at Northwest. And then I transferred to Eastern Kentucky University.
Wow.
What brought you there? What drew you there?
I get this question all the time. It was a boy and a dart at a map.
Oh,
was kind of the
Did
decision.
you really throw a dart at a map?
Not really, but
kind of.
That would have been really cool.
Who knows where I would have ended up if I actually had, but it was a really random choice that my mom was not terribly thrilled about.
Moms typically aren't.
No. So finished college down there, graduated with a bachelor's degree in sociology.
Okay.
A very random liberal arts degree. Ended up staying in Kentucky for a couple of years and then moved home to Montana in 2008 and actually bought a house in my hometown, which is what everybody says they're never going to do, you know.
Funny how
but it was,
happens.
yeah, exactly. And just have been in Laurel ever since.
I love that. Okay, so what is the background that kind of set you up for being an entrepreneur?
That's a really good question, honestly. I spent 25 years in human services. I worked with adults with disabilities from the time I was in high school until about 2 years ago.
Wow.
So I've worked in group homes and day programs, supported living. I worked at a sleepaway camp for people with disabilities, and that really was my career. And I really enjoyed it, really got a lot out of it. But definitely it can kind of run its course. And there were some big changes that were happening where I was at, and kind of looked at like what's next, and having a child that's, in the school system, and you want to be close to your community and know what's going on and be able to be there for everything. And wasn't really sure where I wanted to go next, and just kind of started kicking this business idea around and was able to just kind of put a lot of things that I love together, and things fell into place, and I had some amazingly supportive people in my life, and here we are now. We're small business owners.
So tell us, for those listening, that maybe what is Molly and Friends?
So, we are a very small dog daycare and boarding facility in Laurel. We started out as just daycare. We opened June 1st of 2021, and I really had intended to stay just daycare because I like my nights and weekends.
Yeah.
But like the first 2 months, people were like, "Are you going to board? Are you going to board?" And you have to listen to what your customers want.
Absolutely. It's super important.
Yeah, they're kind of paying your bills. So it was only 2 months in. It was August when we started boarding. And
wow,
that, of course, has, really just taken off. So, yeah, we do daycare and boarding. We've got a do-it-yourself wash. So people can bring their pups in and give them a bath, or we'll do a bath for daycare dogs. We're not groomers. We get that question a lot, but no, there's already some great groomers in Laurel. and we can refer you to them. But we're just daycare and boarding.
So did you grow up did you have animals?
Oh yeah.
Like tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Have always had pets, mostly cats. I wanted a dog more than anything else in my whole entire life.
I love both, but I have a soft spot for cats.
We were definitely a cat family. I remember I was probably about 10 or 11, and there was a neighbor dog. It was kind of like the Sandlot junkyard dog.
Oh,
you
okay.
know, the lot next to us was empty, and I'm sure that dog was meant to protect the shed and the cars and whatnot. And I started with some hot dogs and a few other things, and before you knew it, like I had that dog in my lap, and I would go over and just love on it all the time. And finally, like the owner came over and was like, "All right, so the dog likes her, but you've got to quit feeding it hot dogs."
Feed it this other stuff instead.
Right. But at that point,
You're like, this is how I learned my Cesar Millan skills.
Exactly. At that point, Jake and I were pretty good buds. But so I actually did not get a dog until I was in my early 20s, and it was Molly. I wanted a hound dog because I'd seen The Fox and the Hound so much, you know. And so I scoured the Humane Society pages. We did have the internet back then. It was fairly new, but I scoured the Humane Society pages and found this just sad-looking brown-eyed girl in Polson.
Oh, wow.
And and I lived in Belgrade at the time. And so raced up there and got her. And
Sometimes you just know.
Yeah. She was my dog that I got in my 20s. And so through road trips and traveling and moving and heartbreak and the birth of my child, you know, and all that kind of stuff, she was just like my heart dog, you know. So when we were trying to kick around what to name Molly and Friends, I get asked all the time if I'm Molly, and I'm like, no, Molly's the dog, but I answer to it. So.
Yeah. It's like the same. Yeah.
Pretty much. So yeah, just a real love of animals, a real recognition of where they fall in our lives, and seeing so many people that need the care, need the help, and just really thought we could fill that, you know, with really great customer service, a really great team, and just some real genuine care.
So, and I will speak to that. My dogs are also
they're friends
of Molly's.
Yeah,
right. And so, but no, it's an absolutely wonderful experience boarding them there, and they get to play all day. They came home and they were just exhausted.
Good.
And they write they basically give you like a little diary of their morning and afternoon. And it was like, oh, Pugsley and Henry, they got cuddles from the staff and they played with Charlie.
Those are Kayla's pugs for those listening.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Those are my pugs.
They're black and white. They're very cute. Or silverback. But
yes.
So where did you talk about customer service and those details Kayla's describing as an owner. How did you come up with all of that? Like, you're starting a business, you've worked in a different kind of industry, but then you have these really beautiful touches for these customers of yours.
You know, we thought a lot about, like, what do you feel like you're missing when you're going places, or what do you really appreciate when you go somewhere? And wanted to make sure that those were the key things that we put out there. The other big piece is my office manager, who I would not be anywhere without. Her name is Paige. She actually did daycare, like child daycare for my daughter when she was little, from about 18 months till about 3. And we all stayed in touch. All the kids still know each other and stuff. It was just a small little in-home daycare.
So sorry, I'm going to chime in. We have a little voice here.
Yes.
Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Allison. I'm Jodi's daughter.
So articulate.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Very well spoken. So yeah, Paige took care of you know, Allie, and also had a long history in childcare. And when I was kind of kicking around this whole dog daycare idea, Paige actually had come over with her little girl, and I think Ada was 2 at the time.
Yeah, very young.
Very young. And I was like, well, I'm kind of thinking about this. And Paige was like, well, I'm kind of done where I'm at. And I was just like, as a joke, I'm like, well, you want to come work with me? You know, and she's like, well, I'm not so sure about big dogs, but okay. I was like, oh, well, that's cool.
Great, this is great.
Yeah, because I knew I wasn't ready to leave my full-time job, like with my paycheck and benefits and things like that. So
I have a child.
Yeah. So I knew I was good. They're very expensive.
Whatever.
So I knew I was going to need, like, someone, you know, that was going to be able to be there 5 days a week, and that, like, I could trust and all of that. And so she said, yeah, that sounds cool. And I was like, well, of course she said it sounds cool. We were sitting there like I'm looking right at her. She has to agree to it, right? Well, a couple weeks later, she told me she put her notice in at her job. And I was like, oh no, I seriously have to do this now, you know? So at that time,
Paige just making you do it.
Oh, basically, yeah, she definitely.
We had a good friend, Misty, who kind of just thrown out the idea and was like, you know, you should start a dog daycare.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I remember it all just going in, was with our good friend. She just put in the idea and we said, you know what? Why not?
Why not?
There was a few more details, but
yeah.
but I did go to Misty because she had a coffee shop and also did some childcare in Laurel. And I said, well, you know, Paige has put her notice in at her full-time job. And if I do this and I fail, like, do you have a place for her so that she can go to work, you know? So that Misty said, yeah, of course she'd take Paige on. So anyway, Paige's background in childcare is a big part. Dogs and kids really aren't that different. And parents aren't really that different. So the dailies that parents get for daycare.
Do you find like dog parents are like a little bit more crazier than people parents?
No comment. No. I think anyone that loves something as much as we love our kids or our dogs, they might have some idiosyncrasies.
Yes,
I'm going to say. But yeah, the dailies and just that care and that communication really comes from like Paige's background in childcare. Like, you want to keep your parents happy, tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to handle things a whole lot better if they're in the loop.
Because I know
and understanding what happens. So a big part of where we get the notes and all that kind of stuff comes from.
I just love the detail to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it's
like,
so cute.
I mean, I don't have pets at present.
I
Everyone else in my
still
life
have
does,
mine.
but
You should get one.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, they go on a lot of fridges, and people really love the ones where maybe we like describe some naughty behavior. Like, they really like to put those ones on the fridge, you know.
We always kind of base off our boarding of like, if we're going to leave our dog somewhere to go on a trip, we want to know that they're going to be well taken care of, you know, and that they're going to be loved by the staff, you know. So that's kind of how we based our care and facility around this whole business, is knowing how we want our dogs to be treated.
I love it, and that's why I trust you with my animals.
So can you tell us a little bit about, like, I'm curious, because I grew up kind of in agriculture, rural, so your dogs are just kind of outside or in garage, they're cool. What does that look like daily, and do all the dogs get along?
Sure.
Like, what does that care look like?
Sure. So before a dog is able to attend, we do what's called a temperament eval. And that's where they bring the dog into us and we clear out our large indoor area, put all the dogs outside. We obviously have a fence. And the new dog comes in and gets to kind of sniff around and check things out. And then I have a lead attendant, and she brings in one dog at a time and really thinks about those personalities she's bringing in, you know, like a dog that doesn't really care about anything. And then maybe one that's going to be a little more sniffy, and a male, a female, a big dog, a little dog, you know, and kind of works our way through to some of our bigger personalities. And we're just really watching that new dog to make sure that they're feeling okay in that setting, you know, looking for signs of aggression or excessive anxiety and things like that. So we know right off the bat kind of the personality of the dog, and that usually takes about a half an hour or so. And then once that piece is done, we also have a contract and some paperwork and vaccination requirements and all that kind of stuff. But then after all that's done, they're able to come to daycare or book for boarding. And we're, you know, open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. so that can be dropped off anytime during that time frame, stay until we're closed. And they go out. We've got the large indoor area. We've got a large outdoor area that is got some concrete. It's got turf. It's got gravel at both ends. So they're able to go in and out as they want to. Typically, probably 80% of the time, the doors are open, so they're able to go in and out as they want to. If it's inclement weather, it's just like home, where you're letting them out and then letting them back in and letting them out and letting them back in. And then we continue to encourage good behavior at daycare. Just like with kids, we don't want them going home with, you know, behaviors that the parents are exactly like, oh, they learned that at daycare, you know. So we try to, you know, encourage good behavior, but do it constructively. And luckily we haven't had big fights, things like that. But I'm double staffed all the time. I've got a really amazing team of staff.
Yes.
I mean, just really great staff. And so they're double staffed, and their jobs is to watch the dogs. and then document on the sheets and things like that, so that, we're paying attention to what's going on. We're watching the dog body language. There's definitely dogs that don't like each other, just like with people. You don't like everybody you meet. So we kind of try to watch for those things, or if anybody's being kind of annoying that day or whatnot. But overall, they all get along really well. It does still blow my mind, just like you said, because not many years ago, dogs were dogs, you know?
Yeah. I mean, still in the garage, but like we're outside and they just magically, they don't run off. Like they just stayed at home and the neighbor would feed them like twice a day,
Right. Yeah.
Cats too.
And it does blow my mind. I look around sometimes and I'm thinking, wow, people are really into their dogs, and that's great. I absolutely love it. I think dogs they're the best of us. They, so I think they deserve that treatment for sure.
And how many dogs do you have like during the day at like a dog daycare?
Sure. It really kind of varies. Kind of goes ebbs and flows with school, with holidays and whatnot. We really don't go much over 50. And that's not 50 typically there at the same time, because you have some that come in the morning and leave in a couple of hours, or come in later when they get dropped off for boarding. All of our boarding dogs participate in full days of daycare too. So if we have a lot of boarding dogs, we're probably going to take less daycare dogs. Because I don't want dogs kenneled up, during the day, all day. So they're out and about playing and getting tired and things like that with their friends.
That's one of my favorite things about it, is I know that they're getting activity during the day versus in some places you're just like, they're being let out like 3 or 4 times a day and then they're just being put back into a
I think
kennel.
it makes the whole process so much easier when they're tired at night.
Yes.
That's better for everybody.
And what's a booking like? So if someone's like, oh my gosh, I would love to like drop my dog off for daycare, or like I'm out of town this coming weekend, what does that process look like?
So once the temperament is done, it's a whole lot easier because there's not that piece of the puzzle, to try and figure out. And then we do fill up. There are days where we post like, hey, we are full. I don't have room for walk-ins or for, that kind of thing. We do have a calendar. We've got a list of regulars. That's always really nice, because if you get on the regulars list, then you're always, guaranteed your slot on whatever day you sign up for the regulars. We really haven't had to turn too many people away, just because sometimes you have cancellations and things like that. Boarding this summer has been wild.
Oh, I bet.
We've really need to book at least like 3 weeks in advance. It's just been crazy this summer for boarding. So that's a little more difficult to get on the calendar. And our boarding numbers are really based on our space, making sure that if we have a lot of single dog families, then I don't have as much space numbers wise. If I've got some pups that are from the same family and are able to stay together, then I have more room kind of thing. But yeah, boarding has definitely taken off. And so I really encourage people, if they're interested in boarding, and I think this is kind of anywhere, that you want to be booking in advance.
Oh yeah, you're not doing it just the Thursday.
Yeah, sometimes we can accommodate that, but and as we go into the school year, our numbers are dropping off, so we probably would be able to more, but this summer has been just crazy, and holidays are
So I'm curious with the size of facility that you have. Did you have to like build out? Was there a facility? Like, tell me about the facility that you're at.
This is a piece. So as Allie said, I had a really good friend. I was telling her about, like, I was fostering a cat. She's like, you should open a dog daycare. And I'm like, I know, right? Because it had been in my head. And I had not told anybody. So it was super wild that she even like said it, And then I went home and I told my partner, I was like, hey, what do you think if I open this dog daycare? Thinking that he would be like, oh, come on, that's a ridiculous idea. But no, he was like crazy supportive.
He was like,
and then I'm like, oh my God, I love dogs. Let's do it.
Allie was in before anybody. But I was like, don't you think this building, it used to be a brewery in Laurel, and before that it was
it's a cool space. I'll have to take you out there.
Yeah, it was the Ford garage, and it was a filling station and all of that. And I was like, don't you think the old Fat Jack's building would be perfect? Oh, yeah. So within like a week or two, we were on the phone with the leasing company, and Rob and I, my fiance, we walked through, and it was just like, this is perfect. It had like the entryway, it had bathrooms, it had a big garage space, and all we had to do was build the fence outside, and then a few kind of to block an open doorway and another couple of doorways. We went through a lot of baby gates.
Yeah.
Dogs are kind of hard on baby gates.
Yes.
So, and, we went through a few different things for some doorways and stuff, and have got a pretty good system now. But luckily Rob is a contractor, and
how convenient.
I know, it was so amazing. So, he built the fence, and anytime like something breaks or, whatever, he's able to come over and help out with that. So when I say I have a really supportive group of people around me, yeah, I've got a great team. But yeah, we didn't have to do a whole lot. That was just another piece that was like, okay, this should be happening because this building is perfect. Of course, the landlord, when you mentioned being kind of from an agricultural background, he really looked at me like I had 8 heads. He's like, you want to do what now?
No, just trust me, it'll work.
I know. He's like, I'm like a dog daycare. And he's like, well, who's going to bring their ranch dog to pee and poop in a stall or something? And I was like, well,
you're like, there's town dogs.
Those aren't really the dogs that people are bringing to daycare, So
I'm talking about the prissy dogs.
Yeah, right. The dogs that can't be left home alone all day, or you don't want left home alone.
Can be on the couch. Those are the dogs we're gearing towards.
So I think he was a little bit skeptical, but was probably happy to get it rented and get some regular rent money. So no, it's been a great space. We haven't had to do a whole lot, and that piece was really nice.
And so how long have you guys been open?
We opened June 1st of 21.
Oh, cool. So
and it was February of 21 that my friend said to me, what you should do.
So that's quick.
That's how quickly all those pieces fell into place. I cashed in an IRA and crossed my fingers. Got a HELOC on my house, because you got to figure out how you're going to make payroll and things like that.
And then you said you did 2 months later, you're like, we're doing boarding too. Wow. So that you moved quick.
But it was like what
meant
we had to do. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like I had to fight,
Yeah, it just kind of all fell into place.
Exactly. Exactly.
You remember the days of the first couple of weeks and you were going, yes, 5 dogs. And now we're going,
3 of them are mine.
50 dogs here.
And do you help out?
With
in the
dogs.
summers
I used to be able, I used to go back with the big dogs when we had 5 or 10, but now since there's a lot more and I'm a lot smaller than a lot of the staff that we have, it's just, sometimes it can't be safe, because there's just so many dogs with so many different possibilities that some of them may not have kids at home, some of them might, you just don't know what could happen. So usually I help out with the little dogs, or when lunchtime comes and we got 15 who need lunch, I'll help out and I'll do that kind of stuff. But I'm not anymore with big dogs, but
she does usually get to come with
me. But you're around there.
Oh yeah. She's there a lot.
And you're there.
And same with Paige's daughter. That was the other piece that was important for Paige, was to be able to have a place where she could bring her daughter to.
Yeah.
So Ada's around a lot, but Allie gets to come with me. We go back for bedtime potty around 8:30, 9 o'clock somewhere at night, for just a final potty for all the boarding dogs. Yep. And she's usually able to come with me for that and help out with that and stuff too. So it is definitely a family affair.
Oh yeah. And
we're all fully invested.
Yeah, when Ada's there, Paige's daughter, she's going to be 6 here soon. I play with her. Yeah. I kind of babysit her while she's
Sometimes
there.
we put them in the kennels. They actually really like that.
Yeah.
Kids love that.
We'll
they
play
do.
Dogs. And then
we are also not
condoning
locking children
No,
in
but
kennels,
if they go in there willingly.
Yes, that's a totally different story.
When I'm the dog and then she's going to be a dog too, but she gets the big crate. I get the little tiny crate that's made for the Chihuahuas and the little Maltese. And I'm sitting there and going, rough.
It keeps them busy.
Yes.
The little dachshunds.
Can you share with us some of the feelings that you had throughout that process?
Terror?
Yeah.
Anxiety.
Yeah. A lot of hope, but just it's really nerve-wracking, and a constant fear of failure, but taking those risks, and I think but also feeling so much support and love too. That was so amazing. Just the people that came out to support us can sometimes really ease those worries and those concerns. I have a great small business group in Laurel that we've all kind of gotten together, and we meet every couple of weeks, and it's really just a great opportunity to be like, man, are you feeling this? 'Cause I'm feeling this, or, come up with some different ideas and things like that. So it can really help kind of ease the anxiety of things. But, you're just always worrying a little bit, what's the next thing going to happen, and how are you going to be able to navigate that? But also knowing just that you're surrounded by some really great people too and support. So it kind of balances each other's out. I'm not going to lie. There's definitely sleepless nights, when you're like, oh man, this is the next big thing, or I got to figure this out, or the what ifs.
Yep.
Do you have a vet that you have a good relationship with in case something comes? I just am thinking my aunt and uncle had a diabetic Rottweiler for a while, and I was like, I had their vet's number in case, which nothing happened, but I had it in case I needed it.
Yeah, absolutely. So
because I would dog sit, house sit, dog sit, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. Yeah,
that's a really important piece of the puzzle, and that's probably something that I didn't share from the very beginning too. Is I worked with Dr. Mark out at Alpine Veterinarian. He's been, I'm going to say my vet, but my animal's vet for the last 15 years or so. Yeah, you know what I mean, my vet. And so actually I talked with him. I was like, hey, what do you think of a daycare boarding thing? And he was like, oh yeah, boarding. He's like, you could stay busy all year boarding. And then I asked him, a few questions here and there. And so we kind of came up with like, hey, if you need anything, call me, So he's been just my sounding board for lots of things,
Awesome.
I'll call him frequently and say, hey, have you heard about this? Or, what do you think about this? Or I've got, another vet's telling me this, what do you think about that? So he's been a really great resource, and I've really been very grateful to have him and his team.
It's always awesome to have good advisors as you're navigating different things.
Well, if something happened like on a weekend and it's you're like with someone else's dog, like you're in charge of them, like it's just like that you have someone to call that can come and help you.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And there are other emergency vets in Billings, and that's part of the dog's paperwork too, is, who's their vet. And, hopefully if something big happens, we're able to get a hold of family very quickly so that we're able to get them, get the dog back with their family and let them kind of navigate that piece. But we also have other great vets in Laurel too. We've got a great relationship with Beartooth and with Friendship and the Laurel East. We talk to them pretty frequently to get vaccinations and things like that. So I feel really comfortable with just our relationship with all the vets in our local area too.
Yeah. Really and nice. It's when you fill out the paperwork, you actually give just like you would a medical form, you give who's your primary.
Oh, this is fascinating
and then
to me.
two emergency contacts. So
and we do ID, if mom or dad doesn't pick up, and it's going to be somebody different, we check their IDs before we send their dog home with them.
Your dog to be stolen. People can be crazy.
Yeah. So again, kids and dogs are not that much different.
It's super similar. Throughout that first year, what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them? Or did you lean on that small business group? Or
it was such a blur. It really is. I think managing your overhead and watching that really thin line of income and overhead, like making sure that you can make payroll, because people really do like to get paid. As much as they love working with dogs, they really do want to get paid too. Right. So transferring a lot of money from my savings account into the business to make payroll or to pay rent, so just really managing that overhead. And then those pieces that the average person doesn't know anything about, like taxes, payroll taxes. Like the first time my accountant was like, okay, your payroll taxes are due and it's going to be this much. And I'm like, oh, that can't be right. Surely you'd like to recalculate this.
No.
Yeah. Like you're not going to just take that out of my account, right? So managing the overhead. So there's just a really strong, huge learning curve, So I think, leaning on those professionals, leaning on the other small business owners, and being willing to just do a lot of research. That there's going to be things where I'm going to say, I don't have the answer to that right now, but I'll sure look into it, And so there's a lot of great resources. The Small Business Development Center that, you guys had that meet with the expert.
Oh, thing. Expert Week. Yep.
Expert Week. That was really handy. You just have to always be willing to learn and to dig a little bit deeper, and maybe even sometimes feel kind of dumb because you got to ask some dumb questions,
Yeah, I feel like there's dumb questions. Yes. They're questions, and if you don't ask it, somebody else has them.
Because sometimes the hardest thing is to ask for help. And when you're starting a business from the ground up, it's something that you really need help with. So you can't be scared to ask someone for help, even if it makes you feel dumb or makes you feel bad. You can't be afraid to ask for help. It's one of the biggest things that you just need to do when you're starting a business.
You are very wise.
I know. I was like, besides giving an older sibling energy. No, but I think you're right. And I think that's a good thing to learn at such a young age. Yeah. And I think, like you mentioned, Kayla, like, it's funny, like, there's just certain, like, we've done some short episodes on certain things, like how to register your company. And they're just such a wealth of knowledge of, like, there are people out there that can help you. And, like, the SBDC, their services are free. They put on these really great trainings and bring in experts, but it's just, like, sometimes I think it's in anything. It's even in the work we do. It's like, you don't always want to do the thing, but once you go and do it, you're happy you did it.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because you got to connect with people and ask those questions and do those things and learn from others.
Developing strong relationships too, you know,
Absolutely.
and recognizing what each person brings to the whole, you know. The ladies at my bank, I bank at Altana in Laurel.
Oh,
and I love them.
Altana's amazing. Let's just shout
I
them
absolutely
out.
love them.
Yes.
You know, so they're a great resource, and you
They're
know,
so
to listen to
lovely.
them and what they have to tell me.
And they were
you know.
founded in Laurel,
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
75 years ago. Didn't they just have their 75th?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
yeah,
pretty
that's
sure it
right.
was in Laurel.
Yeah, they've been.
Don't quote me on that, people, but look it up.
Well, they got a sticker on their door that says it, so I'm certain.
Yeah, 75 years. Yeah, exactly.
Allie coming in clutch to help us.
So, you know, just being willing to develop those relationships, you know, and when you kind of get tough stuff that comes up with your pet families, maybe they're asking you to do something or, you know, have a certain request and you're like, I'm going to need to chew on that for a minute. So, and that's something I really try to impart to my staff too. Like if you get somebody that's coming in and they are asking for something right then, you don't have to answer right then. Like it is okay to step back for a minute and say, you know,
Totally.
hey, I got to chew on this for a minute, or I got to talk
It's
with
funny
my
'cause
team.
you're a dog.
Yeah.
I'm typing
use
this
that a
out
lot.
because
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
should have
I
a
love
t-shirt
that. I'm
that
going to
says
chew
that.
on it.
I'm going to chew on
I'm
it.
going to chew on it.
We chew on a lot. That might be my next T-shirt.
I think
like
that would be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Count
A
me in.
sticker.
Just put me down for one.
Okay. I'm going to have to chew on that for a minute.
Oh,
yeah,
I
we
think that's
definitely
really
do a lot.
genius.
So, and just being willing to rely on those people around you again. And I think maybe the human services background too, you know, that's all about relationships, you know, and that's the best way to get through anything is just the relationships that you have with people. And so that's what I think helps you get through those really tough times too.
Absolutely. Well, that's taught you a lot of patience and it's given you a lot of different skills because you're, you know, dealing with a variety of different individuals. So, which brings me to, you're a very community-minded individual. So much so that you even hold a seat on the city council.
I know I
board.
saw that here and I'm like, I'm going to let Kayla ask that one.
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you
How,
do
right?
this all?
So you're a city council.
I am. Yes, I am on Laurel
Right.
City Council.
As well as
Congratulations.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
huge.
Thank you. You know, that was not necessarily intended.
Funny how that works.
Another
Yeah.
thing you fell into, right?
Kind of, yeah.
along with emergency services.
Yeah, the different committees and things like that
Oh,
that you're
yes.
on with City Council. You know, so like I said before, you know, one of the reasons that I wanted to get into the small business thing and more into my community was just to know what's going on, to be present and aware of the things, you know, the community that my child's growing up in. You know, I really hadn't thought too much about city government. I'll be very honest. But I actually, the mayor reached out to me when another council member in my ward had moved. And he was like, hey, you know, this guy left. Would you be interested in filling this seat? I'm like, well, what's that mean? You know, like I'll check out a
What does
meeting
that
or two.
entail?
Yeah, right. I'll check out a meeting or two. And the next thing you know, like you're sitting in the chair and you're like,
All of a sudden, there's signs with your name on it.
yeah. And you're like the
You're
ward
sitting there
representative.
Councilwoman
Like,
Jodi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your phone number is published and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it's been such a huge learning curve. And so I was appointed for, I think, a year. And then my term was up and I had to run. But nobody ran against me, so took it by a landslide. So I'm on a full term now. And that's been really interesting. Can't say again that it was like ever like a goal or a plan or anything.
You didn't dream of this when you were a kid.
Definitely did not lay awake at night and think, oh, I want to be on my hometown city council. But it's been super interesting. I know what's going on in my community. I think the big thing is that I understand why things are the way they are, you know, and I think especially like with social media and things like that, people are so quick to complain or to badmouth or to, you know, the city doesn't care and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I look around at these people that are there with me every Tuesday night, you know, for however long it may be. Sometimes we have some really long meetings. I look at the committee meetings that I'm at with my fellow city council members and other department heads. And like these people, they're actually really good people, you know, that really do have Laurel's best interests at heart. And, you know, would we have differing opinions on things sometimes? Yeah, absolutely. You know,
That's
but
healthy.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's still like a really good group of people that are just, you know, kind of trying to manage things, but also within like the parameters of government. And
Well, and I think that you bring up
Whatever.
such a good point. It's like, I think everyone at some point if they care, when you care about your community, should attend a city council meeting.
More than one, too.
Yeah.
Because it's so
It's
complicated.
different every time.
They're
is.
complicated,
Yes.
and they're like, you have all those people sitting there doing work on behalf of their wards. And I just think they're interesting to attend.
Yeah, and there's so much
I've not
that
been
happens.
to a Laurel one, but I've been to a few Billings
Well, good.
ones.
Good for you. I love to hear that people are like
I had to
getting
go for my
involved.
job, if I'm being really honest.
That's okay.
but-
Like whatever it took to get you there.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's been really interesting, and I would say I'm still on the upward of the learning curve, and figuring out like when you can speak and when you can't speak and when you make a motion, and
'Cause it's very formal.
it is, yeah. And I'm not that way. Like I'd rather sit and have a conversation
me
and like
too.
hash things out. This like raising my hand and obviously
Excuse me, I have a thought.
right. And
I need to get you like a little pad thing.
probably
Yeah.
With a,
yeah.
Jodi
it could
has
be
a comment.
and really it is good discussion, and the mayor is obviously very good about encouraging the discussion, and we've got a great team that answers questions and things like that. So but it's just been really cool to know what's going on, why things are the way they are, and to be a part hopefully of like the good stuff that happens. And if there's stuff that happens that people don't like, I know how we got there and maybe can explain that a little more, or have a better understanding of it.
How have you felt being in this position has impacted your business?
I'm definitely accessible. It's kind of funny, like people just like pop in because they want to talk about like
That's really
the
funny.
weeds on the ditch or feral cats or, and like I'm there and they know I'm going to be there. So that's been
They
kind of
pop in
interesting.
and-
They do pop in. But I guess I just hope that, the big thing with being a business owner and being on city council is that I want to be a force for like good stuff and for positivity. And I hope that, I don't know, it's hard to say. I guess I want to be seen as, a member of the community that's there for the community, that wants good things for the kids, that wants a reason for kids to stick around, to show that like Laurel does put out some pretty okay people, there's quite a few of us business owners that are Laurel graduates, and that it's a great community and it's a community that you want to be in. But the piece of that is that you've got to be involved. So it's sort of maybe more
Totally.
of like a being an example, like,
You
if-
can't
you
let
can't complain about things if you're
you're
not
not
going to
willing
be
to fix them.
involved.
Yeah.
You know, and so we're really just trying to lead the way on that kind of stuff. We do community cleanups. We try to give to, the different organizations. That's one thing with being a small business is people are always coming in and asking you for things.
Yep.
So, trying to be able to give back to the community in different ways. And so I guess it's just really just about being an example and wanting to try and put that good stuff out there.
because no matter how bad things can get, you can't just go all negative and say, you know what, this is too hard, I quit. You gotta persevere through no matter what comes your way or tries to hit
I'm
you in
going to
the face
remind
with
you
it.
that you said all of that as we go into middle school.
We have it in a
It's
recorded
recorded.
file.
But like, just no matter how hard life gets or what it tries to throw your way, you can't just quit. You can't throw it out the window. You got to keep going, especially when you're starting a business.
Absolutely. I mean, it's finding different ways to get through something. So if one way didn't work, another way is going to. You just got to look at
Pivot.
it from a different
We
pivot.
gotta
That's a
pivot.
trigger word, but we will say pivot.
No, I think that's really good, and it's fun. And you'll see that as you get older and go through middle school and high school. But it is keeping you're probably learning something that's going to help you. as
Even
you
the bad
grow.
stuff you're gonna learn
You
from.
quite frankly learn more from that I think
Probably.
than the good stuff sometimes. It's just kind of how life happens.
I think so.
Can you share a little bit more about like the activities you do with the dogs? So I know when I was there last, you had like a pool with ice in it.
Yeah,
And
we had some pretty hot days this summer. So
That's so smart.
Yeah, we've done this the during the summer when we've been open. Those really hot days, we'll go and get some ice from the ice machine at the gas station or whatever, and throw that into one of the baby pools. And when the first time we did it, I was like, well, they're not really like, how's that any different than just filling the pool? Oh my gosh.
Well, they're probably eating the ice.
There was a lot of eating their ice.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like throwing it
Crunching.
out and then chasing it. So that was pretty funny. There's nothing better like when they've got their paws like on the ice and it's like sliding across, and it was like a little ice skating rink,
Yeah.
You've got the few that just like to lay in the middle of it, the polar dogs. So we've done that in the summertime. We always get the pools out and stuff. The dogs really love the pools. We do have toys and things. A lot of daycares don't. just because of aggression issues and things like that. But I think because of the way that we're staffed and things like that, they're able to do, we have a fetch, play fetch or chew on the bones and things like that. They do get disinfected every night and stuff. So we're not spreading any, hopefully, diseases or illnesses or things like that. We like the girls, my staff love to do projects. So anything we can put a paw print on, we love to do. So we've done Mother's Day cards.
Cute. I
with
love that.
With the paw print and, the flower makes it look like a flower. We got one of those Polaroid cameras. So we've done Valentine's the last couple of years.
And we've done Christmas ornaments.
Yeah, we've done Christmas ornaments. But our last big project that we did.
Yes, I definitely want to talk about this.
They came out in May, is we did a doggy daycare yearbook.
That's so sweet.
That's
a lot of work.
It was a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
And again, I have to give so much credit to Paige because she's have the ideas.
She's the one that made it all happen.
Like I give the ideas and then Paige sort of
makes
makes
it work. She's like your
work.
executor.
Oh, she's amazing.
You need a good balance.
Crazy.
So
she paints our windows like every month.
She's very artistic.
Oh my
I
gosh,
just came across one
she's
that
amazing.
I had my face in like a doghouse. And I was like, oh, that's at Molly and Friends.
yeah, that's right. But no, so we did this yearbook and we have a dog mom who is a photographer. On the side. Picture This by Chrissy, just a little plug for her because she's amazing. So I was like, hey, you want to try and do like school photos? And she was in. She went and got like the stereotypical blue background, and we did order forms where you could order school pictures.
That's so cute.
And they turned out just amazing.
And I bet people went crazy.
Awesome.
Yep,
oh my
people
gosh,
could order the school pictures, and then we did the yearbook. So if you ordered school pictures, the school picture went into the yearbook. We did kind of like the candid section, we created the fetch team, the swim team,
That's so cute.
And just tried to make sure
fun.
It was as
so
cute
much
as
fun.
you think it is.
And then,
and people love dogs.
yeah. So yeah,
They go nuts.
we also did, we made up some categories like, king of the big dogs, queen of the big dogs, most mischievous, most likely to go to jail.
Chatty is most likely to steal your man.
Yeah. Yep.
That's funny.
So we did different categories, and then I had the staff vote. So the staff voted on these categories, and so those pictures and the category winners went into the yearbook.
Good.
And so that was a lot of fun.
But it was really successful. Like you didn't think you were going to print this many.
I thought, and it's one of those things, like we've done this a lot where we start a project and we don't really know what we're doing and we just learn a lot from it. So it did end up being a whole lot more work. I thought we'd maybe sell like 25 pre-sale, I think we pre-sold like 56.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was really successful. Oh, and also you could do autographs. So their
Just
paw
wait.
prints. Yep.
Yeah.
With their friends.
And it was their actual friends. We
So
didn't
the
just like
staff-
get a stamp with paw prints.
That's like when you would sign your friends as yearbook.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
so
it was
our-
legitimately their friends.
Our staff went back on all the dailies and said, okay, this dog has been playing with this dog for a long time, so we're going to write down his name and then we're going to take his paw print and we're going to put it on the front of the book.
So it was
they didn't take
legitimately their
random
best
dogs
friends.
and
I
said,
would cry if
Yeah.
I got that as a gift. Like for my hypothetical pet, I would cry.
That you're going to get after this conversation.
Yeah, you can. I'll put
I know.
Pugsley and Henry's in a book for
Do
you.
it. On your Christmas card.
Yes.
We are taking around doing some Christmas ornaments this year. I'm not going to give too many details, but just know some possibly be able to order Christmas ornaments.
Okay, just
But
let me
no.
know. I'll bring my dogs in that day.
Yeah. But the yearbooks were a lot of fun. So we're kind of just gauging how much interest there's going to be. We've met a lot of new dogs since then. So, I don't know if it'll be an annual thing or like an 18 months kind of thing. But I think with everything we learned, we've got to do it again.
Oh my
so
gosh, yes.
sweet.
And I need to get my dogs in this yearbook.
So yeah.
Kayla's competitive. So
And
They've gotta
mine
win a category.
Mine are darn cute.
they're very cute.
We don't have a lot of pugs,
And, like,
so that'd be
squishy.
great.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
I
They're
think
very floppy dogs.
Yeah.
we only have 2, right?
I think
Because
just
Nala
her
and
to
then,
Nala and Booger.
Yep.
Henry and Pugsley.
There you go. They'll fit right in.
Absolutely. So it's just been a lot of fun. And so I kind of want to do maybe like sell ads, kind of like a regular
So cute.
yearbook. And I could see it being in a doctor's office or a dentist office because you could put your
vet
kids' yearbook. Yeah.
office.
You could put your kids' yearbook out and no one's probably going to look at it.
Yeah.
But if you put like your dog's yearbook out, even if your dog's not in it, you're still going to look at it.
And you're
look
gonna
at it
know
every
other
time you go
people's
in.
dogs, and you're gonna be
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, I just saw your dog in the yearbook."
You send me the ad information because I might just personally pay for one for the
Purchase
vault.
your own ad. I love it. I love it. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So those kind of projects have been fun to do too, and the girls really they put a lot of effort into it. So
I love that.
We wouldn't be able to get anywhere, yes, without Paige, but our staff are amazing.
We do have great
They
staff.
love me and Ada, and we love them, They're just amazing, and they're like my sisters, I love them with all of my heart,
they got a lot more than they bargained for when they started working there. You get dogs and a couple of kids.
And it's a big
give you hugs
family.
every time you come in the door.
Yeah.
Fun. Well, it's been so fun to have you guys on the podcast, and we like to wrap each episode with a few rapid-ish fire questions. So we're going to hear a quick message from a sponsor and then jump right into those. Thank you to Big Sky Economic Development for supporting the Vault at 201 North Broadway. Big Sky Economic Development is the community's economic development organization. BSED's mission is to sustain and grow our region's vibrant economy and outstanding quality of life by providing leadership and resources for business creation, expansion, retention, new business recruitment, workforce development, and community development. Learn more and connect with BSED at bigskyeconomicdevelopment.org. Let's jump into our rapid fire. My question is, what is a piece of advice you would give to a new business owner?
Give yourself some grace. Be patient. Yeah.
Don't beat
A
yourself
lot of
up
grace.
over the smallest things.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I love those things.
How do you maintain a healthy work-life balance?
That is a fantastic question.
Yes.
Does that happen? Do people
No.
have that?
Probably just kind of that's how your life is.
I ask so people can learn more about how
I
others
guess,
do it.
I really shouldn't. I cannot complain because, again, I've got great staff. So surround yourself with good people. I have such an amazing team. I'm able to go out of town.
I love that.
And not a lot of small business owners are able to do that. So surround yourself with good people and treat them well. I'll admit I can't pay like maybe other places do as a small business, but I think we're a really good work environment. I give them snacks.
There's a quality of
that
place
buy
at a
food,
workplace.
makes a huge difference.
I'll buy lunch, I'll buy coffee, whatever. But surround yourself with good people. And I think that will help you maintain that balance because as much as you're looking out for them, they're looking out for you too.
I really like that. Okay. Favorite dog activity that you guys have?
Ooh.
I love when we celebrate birthdays.
Yes.
And so we put a little birthday hat on them and they
Give 'em
get
whipped
a little whipped
cream.
cream treat or whatever the parent allows us to do.
Puppuccino.
And we've come so far. So the first time that we tried to do it, it was a little wiener dog named Ollie. And Ollie still
Love
comes and
him.
plays with us. Yeah. But it was so hard to keep the hat on. It was there was 3 of us trying to hold this little wiener dog.
And
get
is
him
it a
to look
mini?
at yeah, he's just a low guy.
Yeah, he's so cute.
So
love
we've
him.
come a long way in our abilities, and maybe they're tolerating us a lot better now with the birthday hat. But I love that because parents just go nuts for it. They know their dog's birthdays or gotcha days or whatever.
Yeah. They celebrate.
One of our staff, her dog's name is Roscoe, and it was his 7th birthday. I think it was yesterday. And check it out on our Facebook on Molly and Friends. It's one of our most recent posts, and he's adorable. But we love to celebrate birthdays. It's
They
one of
get
my
to pick
favorite
out
things.
their own hat.
Yeah.
We put all the hats out and they pick out whichever.
Oh my
hat they want.
gosh, I have an idea for you.
Okay.
I'll tell you after this.
Yeah, because we don't want anybody else to
Yeah, we
steal
don't want
it.
to steal it. It would be crazy. So one last question, and this is for Allie.
Oh, okay.
You seem
Don't
so
look at me like that.
passionate and excited about being a part of this business that your mom created. Is this something that you can see yourself taking over down the line?
Oh, okay. Yes, because I feel like dogs can bring out the most love that sometimes not even people can bring out in you. Because sometimes you feel like, if you have a sister or a brother and you try to talk to them about something, you can feel that they listen. But if you're talking to a dog,
You know they're
they're
listening.
you know that they listen. I have a
And they're
dog.
obsessed with you.
We have a few dogs, and I won't lie, Sadie's my favorite.
She's a good girl.
I love Sadie. We've had her for a few years now, and I love her so much with all of my heart. And, yes, I could see myself taking over this business, but my mom does an amazing job, and in my preference, she does it better than anyone else I know.
Oh, that's great.
Well, thank you. And you kind of mentioned it. So where can people connect with you guys, learn more, website, social, all those
so
things?
we are on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And just search Molly and Friends 406. Again, Paige is fantastic. She does a lot of that stuff. She's been making lots of TikToks
very
here
active.
lately.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a really great way for people to see what their dogs are doing too, because she's posting on the stories all day long, so you can like watch your dog kind of real time what they're doing. And then we also have a website at mollyandfriends.net.
Awesome.
And we are in Laurel at 317 East Main.
Cool. Well, thanks, ladies. It's been fun to have you on.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Make sure you are subscribed to The Vault at 201 North Broadway, wherever you podcast, including YouTube.
Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway and Instagram at The Vault_201.
Don't forget to visit us at thevault@201.com and subscribe to our newsletter.
We will see you next time.
Bye.